Hey, what's up, you guys? Blake Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of The Strain. This week we've seen Season 2, Episode 8, Intruders. And, so it's been a busy night for me, if you guys haven't noticed. Of course, Sundays are always going to be pretty busy for me like this nowadays, especially with, of course, The Strain and Fear the Walking Dead being on the same night. And also hearing about the passing of Wes Craven tonight also kind of hit me a bit. So it's been a night, I'll say that. But so it was a little bit weird to watch The Strain right after Fear the Walking Dead. That's kind of why I have the hour break to at least space it out a little bit. Of course, as well to do the review of Fear and stuff like that. But let's get right to the point, shall we? This week was a pretty good episode, I'd say. I wouldn't say it was quite as strong and intriguing as last week's was, but that's mostly because of last week was very much Quinlan episode. It wasn't technically it wasn't the introduction to Quinlan. It wasn't his first appearance, but really felt like the episode was dedicated to introducing the character all out. And did a very good job of that. This week was still a good episode, though, don't get me wrong. Involved Abraham and Fet going to, retrieve the oxydolumin, as well as probably the closest encounter Zach's had with his mother. And that can be, that's a very bad thing. And so there's that. And then also we did see a little bit of Quinlan this week as he, had a little bit of a meeting with Gus, but we'll get to all of that in time. This episode had a very odd, not odd, it's not the right word for it, strange and creepy opening, in a good way though, okay? Because if you guys remember back in Season 1, they had that scene of, hold on, my cat wants out. Alright, sorry about that. Seems like a typical thing in my videos, doesn't it? But anyway, like I was trying to say, if you guys remember back in Season 1, they had the opening scene of Eichorst, as he, put on his makeup and the little, I forget what you call it, the plastic and the, things like that makes him look the way he did, the way he was when he was actually a human. And we see him in the opening scene taking Kelly through the same process, now that she's going to be one of the higher up vampires, excuse me as I play with my hair. Now that she's going to be one of the higher up vampires, she kind of needs to be a little bit more... Okay, my hair is bugging me. Okay. Still bugging me, but I'm not going to spend the whole video doing that, so you're just going to deal with the little hair sticking out there. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, sorry about that. Because she's going to be one of the masters, selected, she's going to need to be a little bit more, not disposable, but what's the word for it? Available, she needs to be able to be used in a wider array of things, sort of like how Eichorst is a general to the master, he sort of handles everything in the field and, makes all these moves left and right and things like that. Kelly needs that type of freedom to go after what her purpose is to the master, and that is, of course, to, lure in Zach, which would, of course, be another blow to Goodweather, Ephraim. So, So that part is pretty creepy. And the contacts Eichorst gave her, they look blue in the opening scene, but then when we see them in, at the end of the episode, they look brown, like her eye color actually was. So it was a little bit odd that they showed it as a little blue type of look. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But anyway, I do really like how they did that. And now I think it's going to be even more intense and eerie to see Kelly now that she actually looks like Zach remembers her. Although at the end of the episode, Zach sees that she's very much not normal anymore, so I'm not sure if she's really going to want to keep up the whole fake normal look or not, but we'll see. She still may, just to haunt them further and just make herself more accessible to other things she needs to do and things like that, how she passed through security and things like that. So it still makes sense. But yeah, so that part was good. as far as the hunt for the Acetolumen goes, they get as close as they ever have so far. And, of course, they're talking to the priest making bids on it. The priest, of course, is asking, between $500,000 to, $1 million. And, of course, not Eichorst, but Palmer is trying to bid on it as well. At one point, he promises, $750,000 in gold. So, Abraham offers the same thing, but, of course, they don't have those type of resources, so they're just planning on breaking into the cathedral, pretty much. And that showed a pretty fun exchange with him and Fet. And with Abraham basically saying they're going to rob that bastard. I butchered the lines, but if you guys watch the episode, you know what part I'm referring to, so that's kind of funny. So I like that. And I did mention Palmer in this episode. We see a little bit of some trouble in paradise, you could put it, with him and Miss Marchand. Or Coco, of course, his assistant, who he just has recently gotten intimate with after, a few episodes of build-up to that. And, they're sleeping together on a regular basis now, but she has trust issues with him, as she should, because he just keeps on saying that he doesn't want to get her involved to protect her, and, she just thinks he doesn't trust her. So, yeah, it's kind of again, hair. It's really... Okay, sorry about that. Still kind of odd. But anyway. So we see some stuff with that. Eichorst shows up and just makes Palmer look even worse in front of her. So they kind of went their separate ways, but I'm sure they'll kind of try to reconnect with each other, or Palmer will keep on trying to get a hold of her. Excuse me. But I'm sure, as I said before, I don't picture Coco lasting very long or anything like that. I don't see very much with her character, and people keep on wondering what her purpose is, what is her ulterior motive, what her motivation is to go about with this stuff. So I'm wondering if we're going to find out a little bit more about her, but I don't know. And we've seen more important characters than her die this season, with Fitzwilliam and Vaughn and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't really see her making it out of the season. I see her getting caught in the crossfire at some point. Or just, getting taken down really quickly in the middle of something. I don't know. But, yeah, maybe, who knows, maybe Eichorst will finally kill her, because Palmer just keeps on making these jabs at Eichorst left and right. And hats off to Eichorst for having the patience not to take his head off right then and there. But, yeah, so that part was okay, I guess. The Coco and Palmer stuff continues to be probably one of the weaker parts of the show. But it's slowly gotten a little bit more tolerable, and it's not really too bad. So there's that, and with Palmer and, not Palmer, but Abraham and Fet, going to retrieve the book, they get into the building just as Eichorst does the same, and Eichorst is, basically intimidating the guy, with his life, to tell him where the Acetolumen is, and yes, he infects him and kind of tortures him and sort of taunts him, saying, why isn't your God, unleashing a thunderbolt on me and things like that. And really, it kind of, does make you think a little bit about real life too, especially also with Gus and Silver Angel's conversation in the car about why, if there's a God, why hasn't he done anything, why is he letting all this happen? And, then Silver Angel, of course, says maybe he thinks we deserve it. And, of course, I'm sure Eichorst, never believed in God in the first place, or he lost his faith a long time ago. And really, it's some questions you ask in real life, too, with everything, so terrible and wrong that happens to good people every single day in this world, it really makes you think. I'm not going to talk about religion too much on this. I'm not really a very religious person myself, but we're not going to get into that a whole lot now. But still, I like it because it makes you think about deeper meanings and things like that. But, yeah, so that whole, seeing the cathedral, we also see a little exchange between Abraham and Eichorst, which is pretty cool. We haven't seen, them go one-on-one in a while. And I always say that when Eichorst is finally killed, I think Abraham should be the one to do it. And we see that Abraham actually manages to, slightly leave a scrape on Eichorst's neck. So that's pretty cool. It's a lot closer than he's ever gotten. So, of course, Eichorst runs off as Fet fires at him. and Abraham is forced to put down the Cardinal before he turns, releasing his soul, even though Abraham doesn't, believe in himself at this point either. He still accepts someone else's faith. So that was good. Let's see. Also, we see Eph and Zach, they get detained, when they go to find a sniper rifle, from a dealer that Fet had known. And we see that just before they get there, the dealer was shot. So we see a lot of the episode with Eph and Zach, spent, trying to perform surgery on the guy. And I forget his name, I forgot how to pronounce his name. But, like F's a scientist. He's like a scientist type of doctor. He's not like one of the surgical types. But he did, have a surgical kit, there. Of course, all the other supplies that place has. It kind of makes sense that they would have that. Because as the daughter said, they deal with a lot of like gangs, that want to help people and not take them, help their people and not take them to the hospitals and stuff. So it would make sense that they would have that. And F is able to successfully do that. And he gets a sniper rifle without having to pay anything for it. And of course, that's part of his plan to assassinate Eldridge Palmer. We'll see how that goes. We'll probably see something with that within the next couple episodes. But of course, at this point, they're probably going to be forced to change locations yet again. And before we get to that main part of the episode, though, I do want to talk about more what happened with Gus here. Gus is trying to convince that family who owns the restaurant, they need to leave, they need to find another place because this isn't safe. It's eventually going to get hit by either like looters or whatever else is happening out there. And Silver Angel finally agrees with him, driving around the city and seeing what the city is coming to. And I'm still not completely sure of the Silver Angel yet. I like the actor, in the role, but I'm just not really. I just don't really find it realistic that he'd really be a big help, realistically. But we'll see how it goes, because he's supposed to be one of Guillermo del Toro's favorite characters that he wrote in the story. So maybe he does go to some pretty cool places. We'll see. But we see Quinlan actually show up at the door. We see before that, though, we see that Gus and the daughter actually, seem to have feelings for each other. We've seen the daughter giving Gus flirty looks for the past few episodes. So they finally kiss, and then we see Quinlan talk to Gus outside, saying if, Vaughn trained you, who do you think trained Vaughn? And there's my cat's out the door again, sorry. Once again, I apologize about that, guys. So, but we see them talk back and forth, and of course Gus still not wanting to get involved with the Ancients or anything like that again, but Quinlan explains to him that he's basically using the Ancients for his own purpose, his own reasons for killing the Master, as he told the Ancients, themselves, when he first talked to them, he will stop the Master, but for his own reasons. And Quinlan also warns Gus in a pretty well written conversation about how he kind of knows everything about Gus at this point, which is pretty cool. And so he knows what happened to his mother's brother and his best friend, back in season 1 mainly. And he tries to point out to Gus the pattern, and the girl he now cares for, what do you think's going to happen to her if you remain with her? And you can only come back to her after we kill the Master. So it appears that those two will be working together, and that could be a pretty cool thing. I still miss Vaughn, but I'm very much sold on this Quinlan character at this point. He's definitely one of the most intriguing parts of the show now, so I like that quite a bit. And like I said, the final part of Kelly coming into Fet's loft was very intense. But right before that, we see Eph and Nora have a conversation. Nora had been hearing about what happened to Barnes, his body being found, and Eph finally confesses to her that he threw him off the train after they had that confrontation a few episodes ago. And then he also talks about, the other people who's responsible for who he feels is responsible for the other people he feels their deaths that he's responsible for, and including the woman who he actually slept with, if you remember her. And he doesn't have to say it, but he implies it, and Nora sort of picks up on what happened, and she doesn't say much about it. She is sort of like, it's like she's not very surprised, but she's very disappointed, obviously, and upset. So I think the relationship is going to take no pun intended, we'll say that, strain after this point. But right after that, we see Kelly tapping on the window, getting Zach's attention. And, of course, she's able to use her voice better and better as she keeps on trying. And, Zach actually opens the door just before Ephraim stops him. And Kelly gets in, and, Nora tries to shoot at her, and then she knocks Eph and Nora down. And, we see the vampire children, the blind children, make it in as well. The spider, monkey-like vampire creatures. And we see Eph manages to kill one of them and impaling him against that, which is pretty cool. And we see that Kelly directly attacks Eph, and for the first time Zach finally sees that his mother is far from normal, unlike what he thought. So perhaps at this point Zach actually can believe that she can't really be saved, and it's not her anymore. And so I'm hoping that's what this does, especially when part of that fake skin she had on came off, it peeled in front of Zach. So, and that was a very cool sequence. She runs off down the street. And, so that's probably going to force another change of location, because with her seeing where they are, of course the Master's going to know where they're at now, so it'll be interesting to see what the group does with that. And, that's all you're left to say about the episode. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good one. Not the best of the season, but definitely one of the better ones for sure. It was still a very good episode. The Strain's always at least solid, and this episode is definitely one of the good ones. So, catch you guys next time. Add me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. I almost said Instagram, but I don't have an Instagram or anything like that. But add me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, Movie Pilot, and look for me on SpoilerDead.com. Catch you guys next time, and peace.